I guess go ahead and call to order, and we're going to welcome you all here like I was doing prior, and introductions. So at some point, I think we'll just go through the list, and I am not sure how you guys are all set up on your gallery, but it's me on top, and then I've got Nicole, and then Candace, would you go ahead and open up and introduce yourself so everybody knows everybody else? I see, like, I'm not familiar with Karen, and Sue Ellen, I can see you down at the bottom there, but it would be nice if we just reintroduced ourselves and went through and why we're here. And I guess I can start with me, and then we'll go over to you, Candy, and go from there. I'm Maureen McCoy. I am a Longmont native. I was born and raised here, went away to school, and have decided to come back and move here and raise my family. The Callahan House is a very important place in my life, and in the life of my family. I've had my rehearsal dinner there. We've had lots of various different events with my in-laws and everything. I can remember going to as a child. It's a huge part of my memories, and I just think it's such a treasured jewel of Longmont, and I feel very honored to be part of the board. So I guess that's it. So Candy, can you open and let us know about yourself and go from there? Just a renewal.
Good morning, everybody. It's good to see everybody's faces. I don't talk much anymore, so it's like, how do I do this? You all know me, and you know that I have strong ties to Callahan House as well, and so you don't need to know all that. But anyway, I've missed all of you, missed Callahan House, and I'm glad that we're meeting again, and look forward to the time when we can actually meet in person and actually hug each other and, you know, go back to normal. So I hope everybody's well, and I hope everybody has weathered this so far so good, and that things get better for all of us. So good to see you, and I'm happy we're meeting this morning. So take it away.
Thank you. Kathy, you're next on my little, just showing up. I'm just going as how it's set up on my bar here. Again,
that's fine.
I'm not sure how it's showing up on your guys' screen, but
we'll play Hollywood squares. We're actually pretty perfect.
Okay.
So I think everybody knows me. I'm the house manager, and I've been holding down the fort since this all started in March. And it really, truly is a wonderful pleasure to see all of you. I got to see most of you last night, but it's nice to see you again. And we're gonna sit down during the meeting and talk about everything that's been going on. So welcome back. Thank you for coming. And we're gonna get through this.
Karen, we got two Karens. I apologize. So with the Callahan House lovely background, let's go ahead and move right on. Karen, can you unmute?
I'm Karen Cruz. About 7 years ago, I joined the board and served 2 consecutive terms back to back, and absolutely love that. Love the purpose of the house, love the history of the house, everything about it. And so it's just a special treat and an honor to come back and serve again. And so it's just it's an exciting new year, and we have some exciting new things to be doing for the good of the house. I'm really, really excited, really looking forward to it.
Good. All right, Karen Reed, you are next. You need to unmute, my dear. There you go.
Got it. I'm relatively new to the board. I had my first board meeting took minutes at the last board meeting in March. And since we haven't met since then, it's been real nice to, see all you people. So I'm relatively new on the board. I lived in Longmont for about 20 years now. And I've been working off and on with Candy Shy at the Overhaul, and when the opportunity came up to get involved at the Callahan House, I did that. I've got a strong interest in history and love all the things about old homes and whatnot. So I'm excited to be part of this group.
Thank you, Karen. Miss Connie.
Learn how to unmute before you start opening your mouth.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't
I'm
it?
Connie Newman, and have served on the board for 2 terms for a while, and then took some time off, and then last year had just come back, and then boom, March hit.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm kind of slowly getting back into the Callahan, but I love this house, and I love the history of it, and it's been a real privilege already to have worked and helped develop and preserve and make the Callahan House a little hidden gem in Longmont. I don't have but 27 years here in Longmont, but I've always loved this house. So thank you, and it's good to see everybody too.
It's very nice seeing everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Sue Ellen.
Well, hi, I'm Sue Ellen Dabney, and I'm a recreation program supervisor for the city of Longmont. I've been with the city for 29 years, and I'm like, I don't know how that happens, but it did. And, you know, I've just been really grateful in the last couple of years to work a lot more closely with Kathy and get to see all the magic that happens at Callahan House. And I've just been really impressed, and I'm enjoying being part of this group and the magic that happens here.
Okay, and guys, remember, once we've spoken, we need to remute our mics. So Connie and Karen, if you could do that, please, just so we don't have any weird background noises on the, okay. And if you could unmute, that would be great.
Hi.
Hi.
Morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Ann Thompson. I'm just starting my 2nd term on the board. I really enjoyed the 1st term, even though the last year was really easy. So, didn't do much. I'm looking forward to all the grant work and getting the refurbishing done for the Callahan, and I'm thinking we'll have a great term this next 3 years.
Thank you. Okay, Janet.
Hi, everybody knows that my mom worked there for 25 years, and I was there from day one in a buggy for many, 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 many years. And I love the place. And it's my 2nd term. And I have a question with this iPad. I'm only seeing me and the head. I need to see everybody. So do I pull up the screen that says let everybody in? How do I do that?
There should be, it looks like a little square button.
If you go up to the right hand corner and
Share screen.
It should have a
No.
gallery.
There's a button.
There's a button in the right hand corner at the very top of your thing, and it should have a gallery view. And if you press that, you should be able to see everybody.
Okay, so when I push that at the top right-hand corner, it says the mute, the stop video, the share screen, participants, and more. That's all it says up there.
Huh.
Jan,
Try clicking that more button.
Try dragging to the left or to the right, because that's all I have to do is just drag to the left or the right, and it makes it a gallery.
It did it.
Oh, they're all different.
They're all different, you know, and I'm not going to worry about it because I'll work it out before the next meeting with my daughter. Okay?
Okay.
Nicole.
Bye.
I missed Janet. Okay, so I guess as everybody had a chance to read over the last minutes, and since it's been so long ago in March that we met, but if you've had the chance and got your copies, did everybody have the chance to read and peruse the last board minutes? Okay, so at this point, we are going to I'm going to go ahead and do a call and I need somebody to step forward and unmute and put forward a motion to approve the minutes, and then we'll do a vote. And if anybody has an issue with any of the minutes, we need to discuss that now.
I approve the minutes.
A
Okay,
second.
can I get a? Okay, wonderful. And so by a show of hands, we're gonna put up our hands and say, for all that agree with this, put a show of hands, because we're not gonna do the aye. We approve the board minutes. Okay.
Perfect.
And do you not approve? I didn't see your hand there. You need to hold it up to the screen a little bit longer. Okay, so minutes have been approved. So therefore, we're going to go ahead and move on to the house manager's report. And so take it away, Kathy.
Thank you. Janet, just an aside, if you stay on after the meeting for a few minutes, I'll pull out my iPad and call into the call, and we'll see if we can fix your problem today on your screen.
Thank you, Kathy.
All right. It's been an interesting 10 months. It feels like it's gone by both slowly and outrageously quickly. The days seem to go very, very slowly, and the weeks just seem to whip by. You start something and get sidetracked, and 3 weeks later, you remember what you were doing and get back to it. We have continued to have some things happen at the house, on again, off again. So we did have 39 events between March and December. One of those was a city meeting, and that was us in March. And we've had 7 club meetings. I recorded the ones that happened during the time we were closed, if I could capture them. But it wasn't very many, because I haven't been there the whole time. But we have had a number of clubs continue to meet in the garden when they can, weather permitting. So especially Twisted Stitchers and the book group, the book club, have continued to meet whenever they can. And we have a new stitching group that's not even signed up yet, and they've been meeting on the porch when the weather permits. We did do one final walkthrough for a wedding. We've had 5 revenue generating events. Oh, isn't that interesting? One of them was a business meeting. I'm looking at my formatting and going, that's kind of weird. 1 business meeting, 1 wedding rehearsal, and 3 wedding ceremonies. To the best of our ability, if we had somebody who was already committed to doing their wedding at the house and they wanted to carry on with a small group, we did our best to support them this summer, even though we weren't officially open. So we did 3 micro wedding ceremonies. We've done 22 facility showings. We've been continuing to do those all throughout. Unfortunately, though, people are not really willing to commit with all of the uncertainty. So our 2021 schedule is not looking like it normally would. We did not keep track of the photo sessions. We were there too sporadically, but I can tell you that the garden was used heavily this summer, both by groups using it to social distance and meet, and by lots and lots and lots of people to take pictures. So it has been a very popular spot in Longmont all through the summer and the fall. The other thing that we did is we had 3 days worth of the Centennial State Ballet in the house. I think that was in October, and they came in and shot the party scene for the Nutcracker, which viewed in December and continues to support their program and their charities that they support because they're a nonprofit. We are down, just so you know, we had 152 inquiries between March and December. For the year, we're down 150 inquiries over previous years. So just to give you an idea of the flow, people are still looking, people are still poking, but people aren't really reaching out and they're not committing. So we had 15 by phone. The phone's been almost dead. 135 electronic inquiries, which is a combination of all of the different sources that have come in. And we actually had 2 walk-in inquiries where people were in the garden when one of us was there and rang the bell or talked to us in the garden and then proceeded to get more information. We've had 11 emails, which are ones that come in from any source that's not identified electronically as something specific. Wedding sites and services, we've had 2 inquiries. Wedding Wire is still the winner at 59 inquiries. City of Longmont, we've had 25. Event Tective, we've had 5. The Knot, which is our new one, is growing, and we had 32 inquiries from them. And then there's a new platform that we're getting inquiries from. I think it's been around for a long time, but they've just started sending out inquiries because of COVID for displaced weddings. And we've had one from them, and they're called Venue Hub. We've had 243 guests since March. We're down 10 revenue generating events for 2021 or 2020. And those are the ones that canceled, just flat out canceled. We have 9 revenue generating events scheduled for 2021. A number of those are ones that have postponed their events and moved into 2021. We didn't have any catered events between March and December. And right now we're at a total of 14 revenue events for 2020. It's like a tongue twister. And 7 revenue events for 2021. We did have one cancellation in 2021 just recently. Moving on to the maintenance and facility updates. Just an FYI, I think most of you knew before we left that Rhonda was struggling with her hip and mobility. She actually hasn't cleaned the house since March. She had hip replacement in November, I believe, and she's back at work, light duty at the library, doing things, office things for the library. Hopefully she'll pass her physical soon and we might get back to normal. In the meantime, Recreation has been sending in custodians from different facilities. So we've had people from the Memorial Building, we've had people from the Recreation Center. We've actually even had people from the Civic Center and the DSC come in and do periodic cleanings. The person who's doing it now is Pat Neff. He's from the Recreation Center. He's been in 3 or 4 times now. He absolutely has a grin on his face when he walks in the door, and he hums to himself while he cleans. And he is having a great time making the house shine. And we're really, really happy to have him. All of the other folks that came and cleaned were real helpful too, but they have big buildings to take care of, and their buildings are still pretty busy. So Pat's been a little more available because of the COVID restrictions on the rec center. So he's absolutely delighted to come do anything we need him to do right now. So he was in yesterday, and as always, it was a pleasure. Moving on, talk a little bit about the Pollinator program in Longmont. The Parks Division has a capital fund that they're using to plant pollinators in the parks, which is one of the things that the city indicated, or the citizens indicated they were interested in. And I was lucky enough to find them in the garden in September, talking about the garden just in general, and wanting to put in more perennials. And I talked them out of $1,000 or almost $1,100 to plant new perennials in the garden. Yay. And we executed that just like this. It was funny because they said, well, maybe we can do this next year. I said, it's fall. How about right now? So I put together a little budget. I talked to Anna from Grow about what kinds of plants she thought would be a good fit. And then I wandered around town and checked out all of the places that still had perennials. And we bought 67 new plants. We used every penny of the money to buy new plants for the garden, and then took the time and the energy out of their normal maintenance and planted them all. So hopefully we're going to see some new colors and some new plants next year. Although Ho and Hope came in for a cleanup and pruned our hydrangeas, so we'll just have to wait for them to grow back. Well, you know, that's what happens when you have volunteers. I asked them not to prune them, and it happened anyway. So they'll grow. Another interesting example of the groups that have been meeting in our garden, Girl Scout Troop 77918. Those numbers are horrible. I don't understand. They must have a lot of Girl Scout troops. But they held a meeting in the garden in October, and their meeting was about suffrage, women's suffrage in particular. And they all made their own signs, and then they tripped through the garden and had a peaceful march, waving their signs. And then they actually came back to the garden. They went in a big loop down the driveway and out the gates and around to the front of the house and back. And then they planted a yellow rose as in support of women's suffrage. And if you don't know, that was actually women and other people used to wear yellow roses if they were in support of suffrage. And so that's a very cool, interesting thing, and also a little bit of history.
Neat.
And just to put another side in there, we also know that Alice was a big proponent of women getting the vote. And she was a very early suffragette. So it was a nice little tie-in with the Callahan House as well. Just to reiterate, the use of the garden has just been phenomenal. Every single day, almost every time during the day, the garden had at least 2 or 3 groups in it. I'm surprised we haven't worn the cushions off the chairs on the front porch, because there was never a time when there wasn't a butt in both chairs. People came to have their coffee, people came to have their meetings, people came to social distance and still visit, people came to stitch, they came to take pictures. It was a very, very busy place, and a little oasis of peace in the middle of all this craziness. We have done some work to prepare for reopening, including purchasing hand sanitizer and hand sanitizer stations, which are all set up in the house. We've done some noodling on how to handle food service, what kinds of groups we can support, how we can adequately social distance these groups. If it comes to that, we actually had plans for one of our weddings to social distance people by households. We didn't end up doing it, but we certainly have done a lot of work to prepare. So hopefully when we get the go ahead to do indoor events, we'll be able to go forward. And we already have, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit, permission to do outdoor events for up to 55 guests. Wonderful. So we've done some work to be ready for that. We have managed to keep Jacqueline on the payroll. She was on COVID admin leave for quite a while, which gave us the ability to pay her her full 12 hours a week, and let her stay home. And then when things loosened up and we were able to bring her back in, since then she's been working 6 hours a week, which is what I felt like we could afford in the absence of any revenue coming in. Okay. So she's still working 6 hours a week, typically on Thursdays. And hopefully when we get back to doing events, her hours will get back to normal, and she'll get her extra hours from working the events as well. The clubs only got to meet last year 2 or 3 months. Some of them got to meet 2 months, some of them got to meet 3 months. But in light of the fact that they had all paid their dues and signed their contracts for 2020, my thought process is we're going to just extend their contracts through the end of 2021, and without collecting any additional dues. So that's the plan on the clubs, and I'm in the process of contacting them and renewing their contracts. I reached out to them 4 or 5 times last year, as well as at Christmas, and they're all looking forward to coming back. The one club that we might lose is the 2 Table Bridge Club. they're older, and there's just some people that aren't feeling like they can get out and about. So that's the only one that at the moment I think is a little dicey about coming back. I did spend a number of weeks in August and September writing and rewriting a proposal to reopen for both city management and the Boulder County Health Department. We finally got that submitted to Boulder County Health I think in September. And the plan changed weekly and sometimes daily based on the dial and based on the rules and the changes in the guidelines. We did get permission to open, excuse me, for 55 guests outside in the middle of October, but it was a little too late for us to really execute outdoor events, not knowing that the weather was going to be so beautiful for so long. So the good news is once we start to approach that end of May time frame, if nothing changes dramatically, we should be able to go back to outdoor events at least. We did get permission to do things inside with 10 people, but they all had to sit in different rooms. So obviously that wasn't going to work for our clubs. They weren't going to sit one in the library and one in the meeting room and one in the music room and one in the parlor and one in the dining room and try to have a meeting. So hopefully those restrictions will start to loosen up as well as we see people get vaccinated.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we talked about this or not before we left, but we did get $60,000 in capital funding for our projects, namely the leaded glass window, the curved leaded glass window in the library, the driveway, and the storm windows for the house. And the thought process with that money is to use it as our cash match for a grant so that we can do all of those projects and also restore the woodwork on the exterior of the house and paint it. So in keeping with that thought process, Ann Thompson and Karen Cruz and I have been meeting about once a week since August, September, sometime for a while. And we've been working on a grant application. And we have a working first draft of a grant application for the State Historical Fund. And we have also met with Megan Eflin, I always get that wrong, and Ann McCleve from History Colorado, and given them a video tour of the house and gotten their input about the things we need to think about and put in our grant application as we move forward so that we can submit a grant in 2021. Now, a couple of things, their funding for History Colorado for the State Historical Fund is dependent on gaming revenues, taxes from gaming revenues. So obviously, just like everything else, that's been off. And so they're not sure how much money they're actually going to have to support grants in 2021. They did open up grants, competitive grants up to $250,000 for the 2021 timeframe. And they are busy rewriting their grant process. It didn't change dramatically, but we haven't been able to see the application yet. There's supposed to be a grant writing guideline book that's coming out this month. So we're going to go snag that and see, what the changes are. In addition, they're changing the timeframes. They used to have an April deadline and an October deadline, and at least for 2021, if not for the foreseeable future, they are going to just have one submission date in 2021. So, and it looks like that's probably the grant application will probably open up in July, and that the submission date will be sometime in August or September. They usually have the window open for 2 months before they close it and actually start considering the applications. So the earliest we could probably see a grant would be probably October or November, and then it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for them to actually do the paperwork and get all the agreements in place. So if we were to be awarded a grant, probably the earliest we could start on any of the projects would be fourth quarter or first quarter of 2022.
Okay.
The other thing is that in keeping with the grant application, we have met with a number of contractors to try and get estimates for the projects. So we've met with Wattle and Daub again. We've met with Hoff. We've met with White. We met with Watkins Glass Studio, and there's one more. Karen, can you help me?
Spectrum was another one.
There you go. Thank you. I couldn't come up with it off the top of my head.
It was a long one.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
So the thought process being that will give us a very clear idea of what we're going to have to spend to do the projects that we're looking at, and also to give us ideas about what we should really do. The driveway is a big mystery. We're not sure how to restore it and preserve it. We certainly don't want to replace it. So we're looking to the contractors to give us some insight into the best way to preserve it. The other thing that's kind of interesting is, as we've met with the glass studio, we met with one, is that they are doing a different process than storm windows, where they actually just mount another piece of glass to the window and put vents in it, so that there's no separation between the actual glass we're trying to preserve and the glass they're putting on to protect it. So you basically have one inside and one outside, and they're doing that instead of storm windows in a lot of cases. So we're also looking into that. And depending on what the contractors come back with, it'll help us decide what we can and can't do and what we can and can't afford. And so we're waiting to hear back from them about bids. So that's kind of where we stand on the grant stuff. I don't think I missed anything. Did I miss anything, Karen and Ann? Oh, the other thing is we met with Megan and Ann, and we did a virtual tour with them. So we took an iPad and we walked them through the house and the grounds, and gave them a pretty comprehensive tour. So we think we're establishing a really good relationship with them. One other thing, and that is if we only get a portion of the award, then our thought process is to move forward with the windows and then take on the painting and the driveway at a later date. Because once you get approved, typically for the first phase of a project, your chances of getting approved for the second and third, or however many stages there are vastly improved. So that was our thought process, depending on what they actually open up in terms of amounts that they're willing to award.
Kathy, if I may just add one little thing about the driveway. The significance of that was how old the driveway is, and usually these grants are not provided or allowed for, a purpose of a parking lot or something like that. And so one big question that we had was, will the driveway qualify as a project that can be funded? And their answer is yes. So that's excellent news.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Thank you, Karen.
And the logic behind it is perfect.
Yes. Another interesting piece of news is Jane Watkins from the Watkins Glass Studio had a chat with Carol Affleck from one of the local Questers organizations, and told her that we were working on restoring the curved window. And she reached out last week wanting to know if her Questers group could contribute. So that's good news too.
Very.
And they're only one of the Quester groups in the area, so we may be able to reach out to the ones that have met at the house as well.
Kathy, I have a question. This glass that they're talking about mounting on the outside of the window, a protective thing. Now, this is years ago, but years ago, our stained glass windows at the church, our big ones on the outside and the front, were vandalized and broken. And so we had to have a fundraiser, and they fixed them all, but then they put a protective glass on it. The glass that they used took away from it visually from the outside. From the inside, it looked great. But from the outside, it didn't. Does this take away visually at all, or is this going to be very, very clear? And also many years later, so it probably is.
It would be tempered glass. It would actually improve the perspective from the inside, because right now we're trying to look out through all that scratched, cloudy yellow plexi. And it would both protect the windows, and I don't think it'll take away from it all. It was actually the glass people that recommended it, and the people that came and looked at it have been in the glass business for hundreds of years. I have never met anybody who's actually doing something that his great grandparents used to do.
Wow.
And they're from originally from England, and he is still using the tools that his ancestors used to rebuild windows. And so they felt that was the best solution. Clearly, the plexi solution that we have is very outdated. It was a very low cost solution when they did it. It's really old. It's been there for anywhere from 15 to 25 years. I can't quite put my finger on how long. And oh, by the way, storm windows would also take away from the appearance from the outside. So I think it's a better solution. But the other question is, can we afford it? We haven't seen any numbers yet.
That's right. Okay.
So, thank you, Janet.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Karen. Just a couple other things. Since I've been working from home, I took advantage of a lot of the education that's been available. There's been some amazing education from the city and from some other providers. I took a course about homelessness that the library paid for that was pretty amazing, and gave me an opportunity to think about our issues in the garden a little bit and how to better address them. And there's just been a lot of really interesting stuff out there as it relates to society and humankind and how we relate and cope during pandemics. And so I got to do quite a few classes that were very helpful. The city provided me with a new monitor and a new desk chair for my office, as well as a camera for my office at home, as well as a camera for the office at the Callahan House. So it's been really nice to get up to speed technologically and be able to work comfortably from home. The next thing on the list is you can see the event cancellations. Most of those, all of those canceled because of COVID and concerns about people getting sick. The Kevorkians, or Tanya Kevorkian and Carrie, still have a deposit down, and they're still trying to decide if they can do something in 2021. They both have elderly parents, and so we may or may not see them back. Courtney Lawrence, Linda Shade, and Curtis Rendell have all postponed their events into 2021. We did a small ceremony for Linda and Curtis in June, so they could go off on their honeymoon and try to start their family. And now they're debating if their new wedding date is appropriate, given their attempts to start a family, and whether or not her dress will fit. So it's kind of fun, so we'll see. I did tell them that if they postponed for that reason, that the fees were going to go up to the current fees, and we were going to charge them a little more since we've already done a ceremony for them. And then we have, in addition to those that were postponed, we have Sapphire and Alex, who are doing their wedding in early October, and Kersey and Lonnie, who are still scheduled for June. Although, given the size of their group, who knows if that's really going to happen the way they envision. In terms of marketing, we've kind of kept going on all of that. Rochelle helped me add a bunch of pictures to all of our marketing platforms. We added them to the wedding wire. We added them to the knot. We added them to the City of Longmont website. And that's been an interesting process. We still have some sitting, waiting to get added. And we're working on them just kind of one wedding at a time. I already talked about Centennial State Ballet. The thing I didn't mention is that they also ask us to be a sponsor for their spring production. And we've agreed to that. So they'll probably be back sometime first quarter to film some scenes for that. Bye, Sue Ellen. Is that a bye? See ya. And the other thing I didn't mention is that we got advertising from them on their website, in their marketing materials, and also in the film itself. So it was a nice little piece of marketing there that we didn't have to do much for. Another change, since we had some reduction in the cost of wedding sites and services for the first version, or the first edition of their magazine in 2021, I'm going to use that money to pay for first page. I'm having trouble talking. First page placement on the knot and wedding wire to see if that ups our inquiries and our sales for weddings. And it almost covers the difference in cost. Wedding sites and services relies predominantly on going to shows to generate their inquiries and their leads. And since there haven't been any shows, or hardly any, there's been a couple outdoor ones. They did cut their costs for the first edition in half. And so we signed up with both of them to continue on in 2021. And we have gotten leads from them in both September and October. Moving on to the finances, and I'm going to make this fairly quick because there's really not a lot to tell. We've tried really hard in 2020 not to spend money since we weren't making any money. But regardless, since we don't have an operational budget, we're in the red for 2020, which is not too surprising. The only thing the city pays for is my salary and benefits. But we did have about $15,000 in event revenue. And because of that, we're about $6,000, $6,700 in the hole for 2020, which will come out of the fund to cover our expenses for the year. Hopefully we can turn that around in 2021 and get enough events booked and done that we're back in the black in 2021. But I also think we're going to lose the first half of 2021 as it relates to events. So, and how much of the remainder of the year we lose will depend on the rollout of the vaccines, what the virus does, and also how willing people are to take a chance that they plan something and then aren't able to do it. So I think there's a chance 2021 we'll see a recovery, but I think there's also a chance that 2021 is going to look remarkably similar to 2020 from a financial perspective. So if you go look at the reports, we did 83 events in 2020, and it had 851 guests, and that's about 20% of what we would normally do, which is about right considering we were really only open for part of first quarter. We did do 3 weddings and a rehearsal and a number of other things, but we did have a lot of cancellations. If you look at the December sheet, there's really nothing there except that we did 2 tours. And then, of course, in December, we didn't spend much more money than we've spent any other month. So if you have any questions about that, I can certainly break it down for you further. I debated giving you all of the sheets for all of the months and decided that was just a waste of paper and toner. If you look at the city finance sheet, our sheet and the Munis reflections are very close. They're a couple $100 off. We never seem to be able to reconcile exactly what that is, but I did do that December sheet for your review. And then the last thing in the packet is the new list of board members and contact information for 2021. I apologize, at least for some of you that printed non-duplex. So if you want me to print you one duplex for your book, just let me know. I think that's all I've got, unless any of you have questions.
No, I don't have any questions at this time, but the bottom line is thank you for all the work and everything that you've done. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Maureen.
So
Thank you, Karen.
I'm looking at everybody. Does anybody else have any questions? Connie, you unmuted.
Oh, I unmuted. I just wanted to say thank you to Karen and Karen Cruz and Ann Thompson for spending that time this past 9 months. That was so appreciated. I had no idea that y'all were even doing that. So thank you for the grants.
I agree. I wasn't aware of it either. Thanks for all your hard work and putting your time in for our great love of the Callahan House. It's very much appreciated, everything that we can do. So thank you. Moving on, old business. We have everybody hopefully reviewed their board member business cards. I don't know how we're going to be using them. Originally, we were going to be going out and trying to get sponsors, and we had this great agenda, and we were moving forward and gung-ho and totally off the rails on that. But thank you, Kathy, for getting that done.
Well, and I'll get them printed. I heard from most of you, but is there anybody who saw a problem with the cards? No? Perfect. I'll print you up 10 or however many are on a sheet, and I'll get them to you, and then you'll have them if you need them. If you're out, I still think we might do some fundraising, corporate fundraising, not an event, but we may go talk to Elevations and the banks and some people, and it'll be handy. So I'll get them to you so you have them if we decide moving forward to start doing some of that in support of our grant effort.
And on that note, I'm also going to say that, so, you know, I did apologies and cancellations for the art walk in April with Diane Wood about having her come and do that. I was really disappointed that we didn't get to move forward with the art show, with the dresses, the paper dresses. I've been holding on to those tickets for forever and trying to do that, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And so maybe we can also brainstorm and come up with ideas on how if anybody's got any brilliant epiphanies that come into play about how we can do some fundraising. I think then, so I need a motion that we can move on from old business, that all old business has been covered. Can somebody please put forth
I move we move on to new business.
Can I get a second, please? Okay, we got second.
I second.
Hands. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Moving on to new business. Posting location for agendas and cancellations. So
I'd like to talk to that for just a minute. The lawyer's office in the city has decided that the appropriate posting location for our agendas is the web, with the Civic Center being the backup location for hard copy. So if you guys are in agreement with that, we need a motion to do that, and then we need to have a second and vote.
Okay, who did we lose? Anne, where did you go?
She may have just dropped off, but someone who is
I think she's just muted.
Watching for her.
Okay, there she is. Okay,
there she is.
Hello. I lost you for a second. I'm thinking, oh no, we don't want to do it.
I had to join back up again.
Okay. So we're gonna.
Where exactly on the web are they going to be posted?
They'll be posted. The answer is they'll be posted on the board page, okay. Which which is where they've been posted before. And I think they'll also be posted in a new tool that's called Prime Gov, but I don't know very much about that. I will fill you in on Prime Gov next month.
Okay.
At the moment, they're happy with us saying that we're going to post it on the website.
All right. All right, moving on. Election of our new officers. Currently, I'm serving as chair, and I know Karen has been very gracious to serve as the secretary. It's interesting that we only got to do a whopping 2 meetings. I believe. So we'll go on from there. But I'm going to put it to the floor for nominations for the secretary position first. And so if I can have anybody make an motion on who we'd like to fill that position, please.
And you can self-nominate.
I will continue on as secretary if no one else wants to pick it up, since I've done this a whole, 2 times.
Okay, and if there's anybody else that we'd like to nominate from the
Go ahead.
board? Seeing no one. Okay, so I'm going to put it forth to the board for a approval. I needed somebody to put that forth so I can call the vote, please.
I move that Karen Reed serve as recording secretary for the board for the coming year.
I second.
Wonderful. All in
All in
favor?
favor? There you go. Thank you.
All right. Karen, you are in the position again. Congratulations and thank you very much. So on to the chair position. I need a nomination, please.
Actually, I was going to go ahead and put my hat in the ring on this. I'm really excited about coming back to the board. Really excited about the things we have to look forward to and to be working on together. Would love to serve in the capacity of chairperson to help with that direction.
Okay.
I have a question for Maureen. Being you only got to do it 2 times, are you willing to give it a shot again?
I would love to be able to serve as board chair. I really would. That would be outstanding if I could continue in this position. That would be amazing to me.
Karen, I think you do a fantastic job as president, but I feel like Maureen just didn't get a chance to do what she wanted to do. So I would, do I nominate here?
If
I
you would
nominate
I agree.
for the board chair for the coming year.
I second it.
Thank you. So all in favor, can I see a show of hands? Oh, and you need to put your hand up a little more so we can get.
I'm sorry, what exactly is this? Are we voting right now or what are we?
Yes, are we voting? Yes, we are voting. If all in favor of having me again as chair, can I see a show of hands?
So is it clear that there's only one
Okay.
vote to make?
If there's any other nominations, we can do that too. Is there anybody else that would like to move forward with Karen as the board president? I need a second, I guess. We have to make a decision at this point on who we'd like to put forth as the board chair.
I wanted to just say that this is kind of a difficult decision because I know Karen to be very good and very, but you've also didn't really get a chance to do your term. So out of fairness, I think, that would be the reason for my vote. I think you only had 2 meetings or 3 meetings that you actually got to participate over.
2.
Yeah, 2.
So for that reason, I think, 2020 was kind of a wipeout.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
We do have a nomination on the floor.
We have 2 nominations because Karen nominated herself. So we have to carry through with that. And
Need a
Karen,
motion.
bring that forward. I apologize. So there are 2 nominations. I need a second on
Candy's
one of the
motion.
nominations. That's what I need.
Did I make a motion?
You did make a
Did.
motion. So I need a second on your motion and then we can call the vote.
I seconded.
That's right, Janet, you did.
Yeah.
So it's been, a motion has been put forth, a second has been put forth, and so we could call a vote. So all in favor of me as serving as board chair, please see a show of hands.
I don't get to vote, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, so, okay, seeing a vote, can everybody put up their hands again one time for who's voting for me as chair? Okay, seeing a majority, the vote is carried, and I'll serve as chair for another term. Thank you very much, appreciate it. And I apologize, I fumbled on that, Karen, as you are aware, but I'm working on getting all the Robert's Rules of Order, so we're following through on everything that we're supposed to be doing. So moving on to C on the agenda of new business, capital funds update.
So we talked about it already, but did anybody have any questions? I felt like I was doing the monologue about the capital funds for the driveway and the window and the storm windows.
I think we share with them the budget that the city approved with respect to the 60,000, the process of that.
The amounts for each project, or?
No, this is the total.
Yeah, it was a little over $60,000. I don't have it right in front of me. Do you want me to look it up?
No, it's not necessary. It's just that in September, early September, it was listed as a funded project in the city's proposed capital budget.
Yes.
And so thereafter, the city council approved it. So
Yes.
that 60,000 is significant.
And the good news is, I think we got it because of COVID.
Yeah.
They delayed a lot of capital projects because the funding, they just didn't feel the funding from taxes were going to support big capital projects. So they did have some money. And I think what they did is they looked around and said, we have some money. Are there some unfunded projects that we can support with our reduced amount of money that we'd really like to go forward with? And we got picked. So, and we had a number of proponents working for us from, I think Jeff Friesner did a lot of work to get that done. So
that's wonderful. You know, Sarah, there are some silver linings that have
there
come,
are,
and we'll take every single one of them we can get. I'm so thrilled that we have this funding. I really, yay.
Yep.
Anything positive, yeah, okay.
Well, and even if we don't get a grant, we have the money to fix the curved window in the library. We have the money to do the storm windows, and we have the money to do something to the driveway.
Yes, that's great. And
So,
and I do, going back to the storm windows, you know, sometimes you've got to err on the side of spending a little more money to get really the quality and preservations that we need on the house. So if we getting the higher ones, I think we shoot for the quality. And for what you said, that the guy used the original tools from his that's pretty amazing in itself. So
well, and we, just as an FYI, we still have to go, even if we get the grant, we still have to go through City of Longmont's purchasing process. So I would like to think we're going to get Watkins, but honestly, Ruth did a great job on the other window from Wattle and Daub and Northern Colorado glass. So I think there's lots of options, and just the caution is we still have to go through the purchasing process, and we still have to be able to justify what we're trying to do and the costs of it. And so there's no done deals here. Plus Watkins is backed up by 3 years. So we'll see.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm aware of the city process in regards to that. It's just, again, I'm just so excited to be hearing about the house and what we're looking at. And I don't mean to jump the gun on us. It's pure joy in the sense of being part of it. So the grant application, moving on to new business, article D, the grant application. Where are we with that?
Does anybody have any questions? I see lots of shaking heads.
So I think it would be interesting. I would like to see a copy of the grant application if I could, to read it through, just out of curiosity more than anything else. I know grants are not always clear cut and wonderful. Thanks for you guys working on it, but anybody else would like to see a copy of the grant exactly and read it? Or Connie would?
We'll just send it to everybody. Give us another week. We're working on a couple sections, and then we'll send it after we do our next round of drafts. I think we're going to meet next week. We'll send it to everybody. How's that? Does that work?
Sounds great.
Okay. And we'll also send some supporting documents for our initial ideas of what things are going to cost.
Okay. Right. Moving on to section E, the COVID operations and 2021 events. I think we're all in this new normal, or as my mother always used to tell me, that normal's just a setting on the dryer. So I guess we've got to get used to that. Exactly how things are going to be operating with the COVID, and who's going to get vaccinated and how long is that going to take and whatnot. Again, Kathy, I'm going to shoot it over to you on exactly, you're in touch with the health department for the county and within the city, and what exactly are they telling you?
Well, they're not telling us a lot. I am hopeful that we can do things in the second half of the year. That we can maybe do our September art walk and our December open house. Clearly that's very much up in the air. Candy, what are you guys doing with Pioneer Days? Nothing? You're muted.
Connie, if you would unmute, Candy, I'm sorry.
I keep doing that. I don't know why. You should have a little button you can just touch.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you are.
It wouldn't let me because it said the host was going to do it. So anyway.
Oh,
I got it.
Sorry, that's my fault.
That's the first part of April. With the way schools are in 1 week and out the next week and whatever, I seriously doubt that Pioneer Days will take place this year. January is when we usually start planning and sending out all the materials and the information for the schools to register. And I don't think Pioneer Days will happen.
Is there any thought process about doing it virtually?
We haven't, no one's mentioned it, brought it up, or anything else. We've not met as far, I take this back. The Historical Society has been meeting, and I'm not on that board, so I have no idea what their thought process has been. I can reach out to Elise and find out if anybody's discussed it and if they've made a decision, if they have any thoughts about it. I'll do that. I'll reach out and see if they've thought about doing anything. Virtual, I don't know.
Or maybe in the fall instead of the spring?
Yeah, that was my thought just now, because we've talked about doing this in the fall instead of the spring. The spring weather has always been an issue. And we have talked about the fall being so much better as far as weather. So, that maybe this would be the opportunity to move that to the fall. Right. So I'll let you know if I hear anything, or I'll look into it and see what they say.
Candy, thank you very much. I think it would be a wonderful opportunity. And because we are looking at 150 years in Longmont, it would be a shame to not be able to celebrate. I mean, it would be a shame that if we lose this opportunity. That was one of the things I was very excited about, that we could highlight the Callahan House along with the 150th anniversary of Longmont, and what we could do about it, and just brainstorming in regards to that. You know, I had hoped that we could possibly reach out to, I'm a big supporter of PBS. I don't know about you guys, but I like the Colorado experience, and I like that they are showing these films about these wonderful people of Colorado were done. And I had hoped that we could possibly, as the Callahan House Board, put forth to them that maybe we could highlight the Callahans and how much they've done for the city of Longmont, and put it out there. And because it's the 150th year of Longmont, maybe pushing that forward. We've seen other communities and other historical buildings highlighted, and that was my thought process last March. And here we are so much further in. I don't know, they probably have their whole year planned, but I just think there's an opportunity here, and I would like to be able to put that forward on, and I'm jumping ahead, that's other business. I apologize, but that was under events and operations, I guess, that we can discuss that in regards to that. But I just wanted to put it forth to you other board members and see what your thought processes were on that. So
I did have an email earlier this week that asked me, they reached out to a group of people, and I know the Historical Society was on it, but they asked me for input and suggestions as to what can be done for the 150th anniversary. So I will revisit that email and tell them that Callahan would be very interested in being a part of what they decide to do. So
that would be.
Yeah, I got the same email. I think they're reaching out to the community to see if there's any plans afoot so that they can start coordinating a little bit and figuring out where the holes are.
mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, because of COVID, I don't think we're going to be having the downtown events and everything that we've had in the past. That, you know, we used to have parades and various things for the anniversary of Longmont and all of those type of things. So I think we're going to have to be thinking a little bit out of the box. How are we going to reach out in other ways? And so this was just a mind blast. That when I'm watching about the other things, I'm like, wow, we could do that. Wouldn't it be great if they highlighted Longmont and put some of our historic stuff in? Isn't there a film that is out there about the Callahans? Am I missing?
There is a DVD that was produced years ago, and I think the Skinhorns, Rosalind and Lee, that worked on putting that together.
Actually, it was Eyes on Longmont, which is the senior video group.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, there's a book by the Skinhorns.
But yes, yes, book. Well, along with potentially using some of the video of that DVD, we could certainly put together a new video that could be a virtual option. If we can certainly be looking to try to be in person in the fall, hopefully. But if nothing else, the least we can do is start to also put together even just a brief film of incorporating a little bit from that prior DVD and what's going on now to bring everyone current.
Karen, that's exactly my mindset. So anything that we can keep us current and in touch with people. And obviously I've been dealing with two sets of elderly parents. So my reality has been pretty slim and narrow scope. It's all about COVID and how we're treating everything. So I again, anything that we can do that's positive and outreaching to the community is very important. And you just never know who and how we're going to touch people. And that's one of those things. So Candy, did you have any?
Connie, you worked on that DVD.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, I was sitting here thinking, now Rich has already passed away, the man who really spearheaded that. But that film is what we show when we do open houses. That's the one that's upstairs running all the time. So, and it was a year-long effort working with the team there and with the recording and gathering photographs and interviews and all of that. That was certainly an updated video view of the benefits and the Callahans. It really went into their life story as well. But I was thinking that often would have been a good avenue for the Colorado Experience on PBS too, Rocky Mountain PBS. So
I just think it's there, and we've got the information, and and quite frankly, as you access and visit other things that they've done, it was a well done film and very educational. And I think, I agree with Karen that maybe we can add some things to it, and maybe, I don't know, I'm a good idea person. I'm not necessarily figuring out how to make it all connect all the dots is one of those things that.
Well, we have a new video without any narration. John Carson came in and did a beautiful video with using both a camera and a drone, and it's gorgeous. He's a real estate photographer, and it's absolutely beautiful. Still thrashing a little bit about what to do with it. I'm gonna reach out to him now that things have calmed down a little bit and see if we can get a shortened version of it to use on Facebook and on the City of Longmont website and on the Knot and Wedding Wire and wedding sites and services. So we could also use that as a starting point if we wanted to do some narration. But again, I don't know much about video production. We would have to engage somebody else to help us with that.
Connie, who was the narrator on that original film? Do you know?
Connie.
Well, I did some of the narration actually at the end. I gave the house tour basically, but the full narration was from Richard, I believe. I'd have to go back and look.
I'm not sure who did the historical section.
Yeah, we had such a team, but anyway, I know there was another lady that was real involved, and I can't recall her name either. It's been a while, but
I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I do apologize, but maybe sometimes those things, those little nuggets are right there. You just never know.
Well, and just as an FYI on that video, I was never able to lay my hands on the original video that they took. I spoke with Rich and tried to get it, and I spoke with one of the other guys and tried to get it, and nobody seemed to know where it was at. So whether or not we could actually lay our hands on something that we could modify, I don't know.
Would that have been possibly, logged at the library or even with the museum?
No,
it's a
senior
private
center
group. Yeah. So we have rights to copy the video as many times as we want. I'm not sure that we can A, lay our hands on the original, or B, get the rights to change it. We might be able to engage them to do some updates, but I will have to reach out to them. And I think we need to have a plan for what that looks like before plus I also don't think they're meeting. I mean, it's just like every other group in Longmont. I don't believe the Eyes on Longmont group is meeting or doing videos at this point in time. Senior Center is still closed.
Right.
Even so, it's one of those things that maybe we could contact with, put some feelers out, Kathy, that would be appreciative. So we could, if you look at it where we're at, we're already in January, and the year, like you said, like months, just goes really fast. The days might trail, but the months pop. And I'm afraid that if we don't put an effort forth, nothing's going to happen. And then, okay, again, an opportunity lost. And I would rather try and then say, oh, it's not going to work, than not do anything. So
I'll see if I can figure out who's in charge of that group.
all right. So again, I fumbled on this last thing. We're already in the other business and whatnot. Does anybody else have comments or things that we should have discussed prior to this point?
The one thing I'd like to add to the 2021 events on the operations is, Candy, I'd really like you to look out for us on the Pioneer Days. I really do want to get involved in that, so that we can indicate in our grant application that we're in the process of being involved, whether it actually happens this year or not. What our role is going to be, what we're going to try and do, and I want to be locked into that so we can include it in our grant application. Because one of the things that they're very interested in is access to the public, and I think it's something I've been thinking about for a long time, how to open up the house meaningfully to the city or to the citizens of the city on a more regular basis in a more meaningful way. And I think we really need to start pulling in the new generations of kids, because otherwise nobody's even going to know what the house is. So
You know what? Another option that the Historical Society is doing in Connie is the open cabin days during the summer. And that involves the entire city, not just kids. So if Pioneer Days isn't going to happen, maybe this event will. And that's another way of, even if Pioneer Days does happen, this is another event, another way that you could become involved, that they could go to Callahan House, walk down the hill, go through all the cabins and stuff, or vice versa. So that event would happen on the same night as open, or afternoon, whatever it might be, as open cabin days. So
I think that's a good idea.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Candy. That's a wonderful suggestion.
And that's the Historical Society? Okay, thank you.
Part of Old Mill Park's outreach.
Okay.
So it's basically the same thing that we do with the kids. There are docents in each of the buildings. They're open. People come and they actually do hands-on activities. Connie does a wonderful presentation with Little House on the Prairie and reading, and there's, it's evolved into this more hands-on kind of thing with the public. So
nice. Yeah, that'd be outstanding if we could have access to that. I think it's a great idea to do, regardless. If we include that, because we're so close to having with Old Mill Park. I mean, it's just in walking distance, and because it's open and we can social distance and whatnot. What a great opportunity either way. If we could do that. And hopefully, like you were saying, if we can move Pioneer Days to the fall and do that in addition, that would be outstanding. Kathy, did you have anything to say about the Christmas open house?
I'm just hoping to do it. And I haven't reached out to Santa John yet. He did do some virtual things in December, specifically in people's homes and virtual meetings for various businesses. But I'm just hoping we're going to get to do it, in some, format that's similar to what we've done before. Obviously, if social distancing is a thing, it's going to look very different, but I'm just hoping we get to do it.
Okay. Going along those lines, what do you see that being then if we're going to do it differently? And I mean, I think we could do it, everybody being masked, do it in groups or buy tickets.
Yeah.
At certain
At the moment, I don't know what it looks like. I think it's probably a August, September discussion. And I think we just need to keep it in the back of our heads that we may have to reformat that. And what I'll do is I'll talk to Sue Ellen about ways we could ticket it and rec track. I just think we also have to consider, how many people we can really reach if we have to do social distancing, because, I just don't know how we make that work. So if you just noodle about it and think about it, and let's revisit it as we get, a little further down the road. And I'll poke a little bit about ticketing, and then we have to decide if the amount of work is worth the result.
If this is possibly the only event that we're going to be doing, realistically, I think that's something that we might need to open up our hours a little bit more, which is, I know, intrusive on each of us and our own holidays, but I think it's a possibility. And I do know they do ticketing with like zoo lights and other things in which they only have a set number of people that go at a set time. And by doing that, obviously it stretches the event out longer. But if this might be our one and only thing, again, we're looking at outreach, and possibly we could use this as a thing to promote and fundraise, just putting it out there, canoodling. So something to think about. Again, I am so sorry I've jumped around on the agenda. It's my first meeting back. Just give me a little bit of squish room, please. I appreciate it. So back to moving on. Is there anything else that needs to be discussed under item E under new business?
No.
Okay. We've discussed all sorts of other business. Kathy, you have the agenda as a item A. Thank you. Do you want to address what that is?
Well, I wanted to, we didn't get to have our December meeting and our lunch, and I just wanted to let you know, all of you, that I really, really appreciate your help. And we can't do any of these things without you. And I know I say that every year, but I truly mean it. It's really important to the house that we have a board and that we have people that are willing to give up their time and their energy to support the house and support our activities. I certainly couldn't pull all of this off without all of you. And especially, I wanted to congratulate Anne on completing her first term. And she did receive her ornament yesterday. If you want to show it to us, Anne. Oh, she's got to go get it. Let me see if I dropped it off with her paperwork. But we really can't do any of this without you guys. And I really appreciate everybody that's new, and I appreciate everybody that's come back. I'm gonna let Anne show you her ornament.
Nice.
There. Isn't this beautiful? This is glass. It's an ornament and it's painted.
That is
beautiful. And I had unfortunately already taken down my Christmas decorations, but I found a place to hang this, and I'm going to give it a place of honor for at least a month before I put it away.
Nice.
So it's very nice, and thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Welcome. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay. So I need a motion to and again to close other business. If I can get a motion, please.
I move to close the meeting.
Well, no, we're not closing the meeting yet. I know we've been
Oh,
visiting, but we're just moving to close other business.
close.
Janet is ready for her morning coffee. She wants to go get to the coffee pot.
I don't
On to the
drink-
chat
You
part.
know, just for
I
protocol,
don't
we
drink
don't normally
coffee.
do a move. We don't vote on
Get
it.
up.
I'm sorry, Ann.
I was gonna say, just for our regular protocol, we don't normally vote to close each section as we go through it.
But after going through the board training with the city, we're going to be following the rules
Oh,
of order.
Okay, so we were
And
cheating.
that's what we're doing. And because we're recording the meeting, that was what was requested by the city, that we have a sense of commonality throughout all boards. And so that's what we're gonna do. So each item we're gonna go through and we'll move on and we'll just go from there. Again, following the Roberts Rules of Order, a parliamentary procedure. They gave us this lovely little booklet that we're supposed to be following. And if anybody would like to see it, I'll share. and we'll go from there. But again, I'm doing the very best I can under the circumstances, and I have fouled up today. I apologize, but we'll be voting on each, making a motion and closing on each item on the agenda as we move along. That's just how it rolls. So thank you, Janet, for the motion. I need a second, please.
I second.
Wonderful. So all in favor, just show your sign of hands that we're going to close up other business. Wonderful. Moving on to the motion carries. So moving on to future agenda items, we've kind of jumped ahead already. I apologize about the Longmont 150th anniversary. Kathy, your thoughts on exactly anything?
You know, I haven't really come up with anything in particular. The uncertainty of what and when we could do something is certainly going to impact our ability to plan. My recommendation would be that one of the things is that we try to introduce an element of the 150th anniversary into anything that we do, including our fall art walk and our open house, if we can think of a clever way to do that. And I'd like to think that we could plan another event, but I don't know what that looks like. So my point in putting it on the agenda was to kind of get you guys thinking about it and circle back next month and see if we've had any interesting ideas or seen anything that somebody else is doing that we could do at the Callahan House.
Okay, I'm actually sorry that we missed Sue Ellen, that she left, if she knew of anything that the city had planned. Connie, I saw your hand go up.
Yes, I just wondered, Kathy, and I haven't even checked on the city website yet, but is there a common 150th logo of some sort that they're adding to?
They're working on it. I don't
Okay.
know that it's available yet.
Yes.
They've been meeting
looking.
for about a year, and
Yeah.
there was a mention of it in that email that came out the other day.
Oh.
So I will go look and see if there's a logo or any
Yeah.
common marketing materials for us.
Mhm. That's one of my first thoughts right there. And then I know that years ago, I think it was through the St. Brain Historical Society, one of the programs, that some of us were talking, wouldn't it be neat to do a pageant, about, an outdoor pageant like at Old Mill Park or someplace to dramatize, the founding of the city, but also, just incorporating the 150 years, basically. And I don't know whether anyone has picked up the new book that Eric Mason did on Longmont, first 150 years, but he's, of course, an excellent resource and would be very helpful
Eric's
with
amazing.
planning, some kind of an event. But even at Roosevelt Park or someplace that's central to the city and historic in the city, having some kind of a gathering, I guess. And like you say, with parades and things like that, of course, who knows what can actually be done. But those are some of the thoughts that I had already had, exploring the 150th.
Yeah, thank you, Connie.
Mhm.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could get back to that and possibly have a booth, or I don't know, but is any, so Candy, did I see your hand earlier that you wanted to speak in regards to this, or was it?
When Connie mentioned the pageant, there was a script already written, and it was performed at the 125th, maybe. It was written by, I want to say Dale Bernard was part of it, but I'm not 100% certain. But there is a script already, and history is history. You know, all you have to do is add to this end of it, and to bring it up to date and stuff. So there is something like that in existence already. So
That's good to know. Anybody else have any comments, thoughts?
I'll send the email that was sent out from the city to everybody.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. That would be great. And again, brainstorm and see if we can, you never know. You might have that epiphany in the middle of the night, write something down, and that you come up with a great plan of something that none of us had thought of. Or even review things that have done in the past that we might revamp to work under these times. I guess we're going to close on the anniversary comment. Moving on to item B on future agenda items, donations for preservation. Kathy, what was your thoughts on that?
Well, we've talked about it already a little bit, and that was, figuring out a way to approach local businesses, especially corporations, not moms and pops, but corporate businesses. Once we have our arms around what we think the grant application looks like and what kind of funding we're going to require to see if we can secure some corporate donations to help us in our effort to get a grant. Because the one thing they did tell us is that if we had more than a 25% cash match, that would improve our ability to get the grant. That would move us up in the pecking order on the way they score points. So I just wanted to throw that back out there and keep it in the back of people's minds as we move forward, because even in our inability to do a fundraiser per se, there may be some ways we can go out and get some funding to help us along the way.
Okay. I apologize, Kathy. For some reason, my computer froze up for just 1 second there, so I missed a couple of minutes of that. So if I had a weird look on my face, that's why. I apologize. But you're all back in discussing. So again, if we can come up with different ideas in how to work under these times, it's all new to all of us. So at this point, so following the Robert's Rules of Order, we're all going to future agenda items will close. If I can have a motion, please.
I so move.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, wonderful. And can I see a show of hands in support? Okay, we're all supporting. I could do a call to say that we're not, but everybody supported it. So moving right along, we're on to our adjournment. Janet, whoever wants to put that motion forward to adjourn.
I motion we adjourn because I'm not used to sitting so long.
Can I have a second?
I'll second that, Janet.
Okay, here it is. So it's been moved and seconded. And if I show of hands that we are now in adjournment of our meeting. Yay! Now
I'll wave. Do you guys want to hang around for?
In regards to everything,